Hello there. Can I ask you two questions? First, you can answer the first one. Clearly, there will not be enough GPs and health services to support the thousands of new homes that are envisaged for South Hampshire. So how do you expect to address that? And secondly, is it possible that you are in the future going to introduce more mental health care beds? Because there is clearly insufficient mental health care beds at the moment.
So two really good questions. I think the first one relates to general practice, and one of the things we've realised through the transformation programme mapping is that whilst we have an increase in doctors in training, creating a GP, it takes an inordinately long time of experiential development, training, and I have the privilege of working with GPs, and I have two sisters who are very early on in the journey of being general practitioners, and clearly therefore what we can't do is naively believe that if we advertise jobs we will be able to recruit huge amounts of additional GPs. What we therefore have to do is look at the role of the GP and ensure that we are getting two things really. One, we are creating roles which are fulfilling and tolerable and sustainable for the general practitioners, because one of the drivers for vacancies in general practice is, as you say, burnout of general practitioners working under increasingly stressful conditions for longer hours. And the second is to look at what components of the GP's role can be alternatively delivered in different settings by different people. And actually the Royal College of General Practitioners have identified that there's up to about 20 to 30% of the general practitioner's role which actually isn't adding a huge amount of value to either the patient or to the general practitioner. And that will be the removal of some of the administrative processes, the removal of some of the bureaucracy, some of the components of work being moved into alternative settings. And actually a lot of the work that general practitioners do is chase around other clinical colleagues trying to find solutions for individuals who have complex needs. And if we can harness that and bring that together through the support of physicians, assistants, care navigators, then actually we can survive on the same number of general practitioners, but with more fulfilling roles with added value. So I think I would advocate that whilst it would be nice to have a growth of our general practice community, we have to be quite pragmatic and accept that maintaining it as is probably the best we can hope for, and therefore optimising one of the most expensive and best of our assets is the answer. So as we see population growth come forward, our job probably is not to grow our workforce exponentially, but is to think smarter about how we deliver our care and services. And in Whitehill and Borden, which is up in East Hampshire, we are exploring a healthy new town and hardwiring new technologies, new assets, all of the creative thinking about how we would support a growing community within the asset base we've got. Your second question related to the mental health beds. So we know that there are a growing number of individuals, and who will continue to grow, with complex physical and mental health needs. And increasingly a lot of the individuals we are struggling to support leaving the acute sector, for example, will be individuals who have complex physical and health needs. Complex physical needs we can manage, in some cases complex mental health needs we can manage, but when the two are combined, that's a problem. We recognise that we have to find capacity to support people with those needs that at the moment the care home sector aren't actually able to fully meet. Similarly, we know that we are caring for people with acute inpatient mental health needs out of the county of Hampshire, and that's because of a shortfall in beds, be that child and adolescent mental health services or be that adults or older people with mental health needs. And the conversation we've been having with specialised services who are joint buyers of these sort of beds are that we think we could and should be investing in additional capacity. What I can't do is give you the precise numbers yet, but what I can say is that certainly one of our strategic ambitions is to bring additional bed-based capacity into Hampshire to ensure that people are not having to travel outside of the county. And over the course of the next 12 months, we'll be building our business case of how we will invest in that capacity.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and that's good. But what still concerns me is if we're going to lose a third of the GPs, which you said, they're not going to be replaced. So this must be a really serious concern for the people of Hampshire that there will not be enough GPs. Don't matter how you redefine their jobs, there will not be enough GPs.
So just to be clear, I said a third of general practices will be unviable.
Oh, right.
So at the moment, our model of general practice provision is that each practice, some of which are 6, 7, 8 partners, some are 2 or 3, and of those 2 or 3, they're down to 1 with a number of locums. So what we're signalling is the structure of general practice delivery, general practices, I think is going to be evolving and changing, and indeed even is now changing and evolving in areas such as Gosport over the course of the next 5 years. In terms of our numbers, our predicted numbers, I think that a pragmatic view of a general practice workforce will be if we can sustain the number of general practitioners we have today in 5 years' time. That's a pragmatic ambition for the local system. I'll look to my GP colleagues. I think your first ambition is stopping the hemorrhage of GPs rather than growing the workforce.
Indeed. I mean, as far as the homes that are being built, the majority of homes that are going to be built are actually going to be in the ward of another CCG. The West Hampshire CCG have got the most development. The clinical chair of myself understand this, and we're working. In fact, she works quite closely with Health Education England. But it does take a decade to turn a switch on and create a GP at the other end. I share your concerns. I think that we are in a very difficult position. I started off in a 7-partner practice, and we're now down to 2. We've had to be smart about being able to be sustainable. We are sustainable, and I believe that we give good care, and certainly CQC agree with me at the moment. But that's only by working differently. I hope that we can persuade people in the future to change. We are increasing nationally, we're increasing the number of doctors who are being trained. But at the end of the day, it's up to the doctors to decide where they want to go. It's their choice, their inalienable right to choose whether they want to train as a specialist or go as a generalist. They are the same length of training, there's the same degree of difficulty. It isn't any longer a soft option just to be a country GP who doesn't have to do anything else. So I think it is a difficult process, made worse by certain comments. I mean, the comment from in the press at the weekend made my colleagues absolutely apoplectic. We've been trying hard to say that this is a speciality, it is something that's attractive, it is something that is worthwhile doing. There are an awful lot of places where GPs have gone, or rather potential GPs have gone. A lot of them have left the country. A lot of them have gone off to New Zealand, to Australia, where they are seen as the valuable resource and rewarded accordingly. I hope that we can persuade them to come back. I hope that we can persuade them to come into the system. So there isn't a single magic bullet. I think we all got to work together. We've all got to pull this together to get over this little hump, and wait until we get that slow increase in numbers coming through.